Hey, what's up? This is Ben with WODprep, and I am here to help you get your best score possible on CrossFit Games Open Workout 18.2. We had thousands of people chime in last week and tell us how our tips on 18.1 helped them get a better score, and this week is no different. I just have to say we are not affiliated in any way, shape, or form with CrossFit Inc., CrossFit HQ. These opinions are my own, so WODprep is not affiliated with CrossFit. Make sure you go to games.crossfit.com to double check to make sure all the standards are perfect. So here is the workout. Before we move any further, I just want to let you know that we have a complete strategy guide to go along with this video. So in this video, we're going to talk about a lot of really important tips, but we're going to have a complete strategy guide, including a warm-up video, some mental preparation things, and anything extra that we come up with within the next 24 hours. And I'm going to send that directly to you. To get that free strategy guide, all you have to do is go to wodprep.com/open, and I'll send it your way. So basically, there's two separate parts of the workout. They are both equally scored. This is really, really important. You need to understand that 18.1 and 18.1a both have the same value. A lot of people, when they hear that they have to do a 1 rep max clean at the end, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to scale it down a little bit on the first part. That's not really what you want to go into this thinking about. I want you to crush both of them. I don't want you to go so hard in the first one that you throw up and you can't even hardly stand up to pick up the barbell. You need to find that happy medium where you can hit both parts very, very effectively and very hard. And that's going to depend on your ability level, and we're going to get into that in a second. Overall, I think it is a great idea for most people watching this video. If you think you might be able to get it done RX, meaning you can get done 18.1 before that 12-minute time cap, even if you're only going to have 30 seconds left, I would love to see you RX this workout. But if you don't think you're going to be able to finish it within 12 minutes, 18.1, then by all means scale, and we're going to talk about how you can improve your score a little bit on the burpees specifically. I want to make a note that when it comes to the RX division, you have to be really, really conscious of the new burpee standards. Even while I was shooting these demonstration videos, I messed up a couple times and did my traditional step up into the burpee, and that is technically a no rep if you are in the RX division. So you have to maybe throw out your old habits and adopt new ones. That's going to take some practice, and it's going to take some focus. So pay attention and make sure that you live up to the standards. And before we move on to the individual movement tips, we did a little math here, and when you're in the middle-ish of round 7, you are officially halfway done the first part of this workout. So a lot of people are going to come out of the gates going so hard, they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, and they're going to be crushing it and say, I'm almost done, right? Once you get done the 6th round, I'm almost done. Well, it's not true at all. You're actually only halfway done when you're about midway through round 7. Let's talk about the gear. For me personally, I'm going to wear Olympic lifting shoes in this workout. The reason being is because I think it's going to help me not have to worry about my squat mechanics quite as much when I'm doing my dumbbell squats. It's obviously going to help me with the clean. As you saw, Patrick Vellner actually changed from his normal shoes to his Olympic lifting shoes in the middle of the workout. That's just a lot of bending over and not being able to breathe and having to focus on tying your shoes, and a lot of things a lot of us don't want to mess with. Personally, I'll be wearing my Olympic lifting shoes and my knee sleeves. I'll be wearing my knee sleeves. If you have knee sleeves that tend to be really, really tight on you, I wouldn't wear them in the first part of the workout. I'd actually just kind of pull them down over your ankles, and then when it comes time to actually hit that 1 rep max clean, you just pull the sleeves up and now they're covering your knees. If your knee sleeves are perfectly fine to do metcons in and they're loose enough, then I would just wear them. Another thing that I'm going to have is a belt. I'm not a huge fan of belts, but in this workout, I 100% will put on a belt for 18.1a. So for that clean, I will be wearing a belt. Obviously for the metcon, I'm not going to worry about a belt. You definitely don't need it. But when you're transitioning to that 1 rep max clean, that's when you want to take a belt, strap up, because you're going to be so fatigued, your core is going to be tired. It might still be tired from 18.1. As you saw Noah Olson, he was kind of like mashed potatoes when he caught that first 275-pound clean. You're going to be tired. The barbell is going to be extra heavy, so just using a belt is going to help keep you more solid and sturdy. If you've never lifted with a belt, then maybe don't worry about it. But if you are aware of how much a belt can help you in 1 rep max lifts, then by all intents and purposes, please wear that belt, and that's going to help you feel a little bit more confident getting up under some heavy weight when you're tired. And last but not least, I will be taping my thumbs. That's not something I want to mess around with in between the 2 workouts. I'm going to tape my thumbs up before the workout. Make sure it's nice and tight. If you don't use a hook grip, you are leaving a ton of weight on the table, and you don't want that. So you're just gonna get a stronger grip on that barbell and be able to pull even when the rest of your body is really tired. Let's move on to the dumbbell squats. There's really 3 ways to hold the dumbbell. There's probably more than 3, but there's 3 that I've identified. Number 1 is the full grip. That's what you saw the games athletes doing. They would clean it up, and then they'd have a full grip on the handle and do their squats because really they're fit and it doesn't matter. They weren't looking for efficiencies there. They were just looking at the quickest way to get the dumbbells back on the ground so they could transition to their burpees really quickly. For a lot of us, I'm actually going to suggest, instead of the full grip, I'm going to suggest something else. So in the beginning of the workout, use the full grip, just get your reps done. I wouldn't worry about, holding dumbbells any special way for the first few rounds because there's so many quick transitions. Just pick the dumbbell up and then do your squats. However, once you get farther along in the workout and you have longer sets, sets of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I would actually suggest switching from the full grip to what I'm going to call the crease grip. And the crease grip literally is the dumbbell sitting in the crease that you get when you lift your elbows up. So if you're watching this video, lift your elbows up, you'll feel a crease in between kind of like your shoulder and your trap. That crease is where the dumbbell can actually rest, and it rests on your torso. So you're supporting the weight with your torso, which is obviously a lot better than having to death grip it with your hands and fatigue your grip and fatigue your front rack position. So I suggest at some point in the workout when you get tired, definitely transition to the crease grip. So once you're done that rep, you stand up and you should kind of be able to pop them off your shoulders, grab the dumbbells and put them down quickly. You don't want to waste too much time getting the dumbbells on and off your shoulders. So make sure you practice that in the warm-up to be sure that you can transition back and forth from those dumbbells being on the ground to being on your shoulders and squatting. The third grip that I've seen people use, Nicole Carroll did it in her demonstration, is what I'm calling the cradle grip. So that's where we put it in the crease of our shoulders here, but you're actually just kind of like holding the dumbbell up like this. You just kind of put them there and just like cradle the dumbbells like with your hands underneath of them. I personally tried that and I didn't like it at all. Depending on the dimensions of your dumbbell, it might be better for you to cradle it. I would just play around with it in practice and find a really efficient way for you to just get the dumbbells on your shoulders and relax your shoulders while you're doing those squats. And a quick caveat, please, please, please make sure that you do not do a squat clean to pick up the dumbbells. That's going to be a really common no rep. People will probably get away with it. But in the rules, it states you have to start from full lockout. So that means I would just pick up the dumbbells and do what's called a muscle clean. So you just get the dumbbells to your shoulders and then start squatting. And another thing to go along with this, another little caveat, when you pick up the dumbbells, pick them up in your squat stance. Every second counts here. This is a really fast workout. So if you pick up the dumbbell with your feet narrow, that means you're going to get the dumbbells to your shoulders and have to adjust your feet every single time to squat. You don't want that. Instead, have your feet outside the dumbbells, pick the dumbbells up in your squat stance and drop straight into squatting once you hit that full lockout. And that's just going to save you a second here, a second there, and eventually at the end of the workout, that's going to be a lot of seconds. Now it's time to move on to the bar facing burpees. By far, the number one most important tip in my book is to mark where your hand should go. So in this workout, the barbell isn't going to move at all. So with that in mind, we need to mark where our hands go every single time we do a burpee. This is really important because as we get tired, it's easy to misjudge the distance away from the bar. You'll find yourself being really far away from the bar when you do your burpee, or in worst case scenario, you put your hands too close and you actually smack your head on the barbell, which has happened to me a few times. So what I'm suggesting is to chalk up your hands, or if you have a gym owner who would freak out if you do that, take a piece of tape and put down where your hands should go. So do a few burpees, notice where your hands go, and then mark where those hands are going, and then don't move that barbell. The next thing with burpees is I'm suggesting just find a rhythm and stick with it. The last thing I want you to do is to come out going super duper fast like Noah Olson and Patrick Vellner and all these other super athletes. Don't try to be them because you were probably not them. Don't try to be them and then fall off, and then at the end of the workout, you're sitting there, taking a 3-second break in between each burpee. That's not the way to do it. It's actually better to stay with the same flow, the same consistency, the same tempo throughout the entire workout, and then towards the end, you can turn it up a notch. So in practice, we're going to talk about a few different techniques that you can use, but in practice, figure out which one of these techniques just makes sense to you and stick with it, and then at the very, very end, you can always kind of put the pedal to the metal and really ramp up the speed. So there's a few different versions of bar facing burpees that we can do. Number one, which is the fastest, is what you saw Patrick Vellner do. I'm calling it the pop down, pop up, and then 180 spin. So I just made that up, obviously, but basically you're jumping down, jumping up, and then as soon as you are up, he jumps over the bar and does a complete 180 spin into his next rep. It's really, really fast. This is the way, if I said do 10 bar facing burpees as fast as humanly possible, this is what you'd probably naturally do because it's just the quickest way to do it. I will say it does spike your heart rate and not many people are going to be able to stick with that the entire workout. So that is the fastest way to do it, but as you may have seen in the announcement, it is easy to mess it up when you're going that quickly, and this is going to really ramp up your heart rate. The next one, which is just slightly slower, is where I pop down or jump down, jump up, and then I'm jumping and spinning at 90 degrees. So that's where I'm jumping and I start to spin, and then when I land on the other side of the bar, I complete the spin to go down for my next rep. This is what you probably saw Noah Olson do. He would spin, but he wasn't spinning all the way around. He was spinning halfway, so we can call it 90-degree spin. And this is still a really fast, really effective way to do it. But for a lot of people, it's gonna be tough to stick with this. And then the third one that I'm going to talk about, I'm sure there are other versions, but this one is my favorite in particular. That is the jump down, jump up, jump over, and then spin on the ground. So what we're doing here is we're utilizing your momentum from getting up from the burpee, and then we're utilizing that momentum to hop over the bar. So again, I'm jumping down, both feet, jumping up, both feet, jump over with both feet, and then once I land on the other side, then you can kind of do some footwork to spin yourself around. It's really important to note, usually when I do something like this, I'll tend to step down into the next rep. That's technically going to be a no rep. So make sure you pay careful attention that you do this properly and you don't get yourself no repped. But I really like this one. This is the one that Rich Froning tends to do in videos where I've seen him do bar facing burpees. He jumps down, jumps up, jumps over, and then he'll like spin with his footwork on the ground to reface the bar and go into his next rep. This is my personal favorite, and it's the one that I'm going to try to stick with the whole time. It's slightly slower than the other two that I've mentioned, but in my opinion, that's going to help me stay at a nice, solid pace that I can maintain, hopefully throughout the entire workout. If you are doing the scaled division or a division that lets you do step-ups, I don't think the masters can do step-ups, so double check this. But if you're doing the scaled division, you are allowed to step down, step up, and even step over the bar. So there's a few different techniques. There's really an infinite amount of techniques for the scaled division, but here are a few that I suggest. Number one, maybe the slowest version, but the least heart rate intensive version is the no jump burpee. So that means you step down, touch your chest, step up, and then simply step over the bar and spin with your footwork as you're stepping over the bar. So again, it's just step down, touch, step up, step over. It's a slow, consistent way of doing reps, but it can be a great way to keep your heart rate down. And another thing is that it is going to save your hips. It's going to save that hip pop for the clean, which is where you're really going to need it. So you'll be fatiguing less muscles that matter for that clean. My personal favorite for the scale division, jump down to the ground, because that tends to be the slowest part of the movement. You would jump down to the ground, not waste any energy, and then step up and step over. And you can always prance over, is what I've called it in the past, because it used to be a no rep, but in the scale division, apparently it's not a no rep. When I say prance over the bar, that means you're still jumping, but you're not jumping and landing with both feet like the standard used to be. Instead, you're jumping and leading with one foot over the other. So you can see here in this video the prancing. Basically, it's just like how you would get over the bar if you just didn't worry about the standards at all, but you still wanted to move quickly. This is what I'm suggesting for a lot of scaled athletes if they want to really get moving through those burpees. It's still going to help keep your heart rate down, but it's just a little bit quicker than just doing a simple step over the bar. There's a little bit of a hop or, again, a prance over the bar, and it's a great way, great option. Let's talk about 18.1A. This is a tricky one because there's so many questions floating around. What should my opening weight be? What should I do to warm up for this? I'm going to share a couple of my suggestions. You might hear differing opinions elsewhere, but these are my suggestions. And if you want the most up-to-date of these suggestions, after a couple of our coaches test the workout, again, make sure you go to WODprep.com/open to get our free strategy guide, the complete strategy guide, where we're going to go into more detail about the little intricacies and percentages and stuff like that. All right, so my suggestion, before doing 18.1, you should build to about 80 to maybe even 90% of your 1 rep max clean. I don't want it to be maximal. I don't want you to fail reps in your warm-up, but build up to a heavy weight in your warm-up. this is really important, that heavy weight is going to be more than you plan to open with. So obviously we want the barbell for our burpees loaded with our opening weight for the clean. The opening weight needs to be below what we worked up to in warm-up. So the opening weight should be heavy, but it should be something that you are confident you can hit because you hit something much heavier in your warm-up. If I had to suggest a percentage without trying it out yet, I'm gonna say somewhere in the 70 to 75% range could be a great opening weight, but my caveat here is you have to have time to add weight after that. If you only think you're gonna have a minute left, then you might wanna go a little bit heavier than that and just try to get a solid rep in there. So this is hard to give suggestions around, but if you feel like you're gonna at least have a few minutes at the end of 18.1, if you're gonna have a few minutes for 18.1A, then I would suggest making sure that that first weight is 100%, you can hit it any day of the week with confidence. It's really important to know how you are going to increase your weight, both for yourself and your helper. You need to have a helper for this workout. If you don't, you will be at a severe disadvantage. I know not everyone's gonna have the luxury to have weight changers on hand, but for the sake of your score, if you can have someone else changing your weights and they know exactly what to put on the bar, you can say, I want this, or we're doing weight number 2, and you write it down on a sheet of paper. Hey, weight number 2, okay, boom, and they put it on. The less confusion, the less complexity, the better your weight changer is, the better your score will be. Have open communication with your weight changer. Make sure that you have pre-planned reps, and be sure to hit your opening weight and nail it. It will feel heavy, but once you get that confidence, you'll be able to start adding some weight on the bar. Just a couple more tips on the clean. Don't drop the barbell and then walk around. Sit down, get your heart rate down. After you're done 18.1, sit down, get your heart rate down. The whole goal here is to get our heart rates down, take deep breaths, and focus on hitting those weights. You don't want to be walking around and wasting a lot of energy. So I really hope that you like this video. I know these tips were coming at you from all different angles. Make sure that you go to WODprep.com/open to get the complete strategy guide. We'll have everything organized, including some bonus tips, a complete warm-up video, some mental preparation, a lot of other goodies that are going to help you get your best score in CrossFit Games Open Workout 18.2. Last, thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. Make sure you click the subscribe button if you already haven't, because we will be here every week in the open helping you RX more workouts. I hope you liked this video. Be sure to leave a comment below and let me know your reactions. So what do you think? What are you planning to do if you test the workout? Let us know what you got. The more comments that we can get below, the more engagement we can get, and we can all help each other get better scores, and that's really the goal here. So thanks so much for watching. I'm super pumped to hit this one. Go out and crush it.